hell were these good coming-of-age movies when I was growing up? I mean, seriously, this generation has had this film, it has Juno. When I was growing up, I had these tasteless little movies. Yeah, explains a lot about me. Wow. I sound very old right now. The Edge of 17. Not Edge of 17. That's an entirely different movie, which I didn't even know existed until I was doing research for this movie, so yeah, the makes all the difference. This movie was released in 2016 and is directed by Kelly Fremon Craig, who is making her feature film debut, which if that's the case, please, direct more movies. You're amazing. The film stars Haley Steinfeld, Woody Harrelson, and Haley Lou Richardson. The Edge of 17 follows the life of Nadine Franklin from her younger years as a child up to, get this, the edge of her 17th year. And we see how she has to deal with her wackadoo mother, her basically perfect brother, and her absolutely lovable father. She has a very pessimistic look on life. She's very secluded, very introverted, until one day a kid starts talking to her, and now she finally has a friend. And they are inseparable through elementary school, middle school, high school, the awkward acne years. But then something happens to their friendship. Also, Nadine is going through a family tragedy, and all of a sudden Nadine finds herself alone again in the world. Then enters Mr. Bruner, one of Nadine's teachers. Well, not willingly. He seems like a very apathetic teacher, but for some reason, Nadine just loves talking to him, no matter how annoyed he gets by her. But in his own weird, pacifist way, he helps Nadine along this road. Weird, winding road we call growing up. Now, this was the first time that I watched this movie, and watching it, I was thinking, man, growing up really sucks. Your body is changing, your interests are changing, your friends' interests are changing. You're constantly being asked by adults, what are your future plans? And you have absolutely no idea because your own little world is so small that you can't see past your front door. Which, of course, is not your fault. I mean, you're a kid, you're growing up. And then, of course, the adults are telling the teenagers how selfish they are, which they absolutely can be, but you also have to understand that it's very hard growing up in the same house for 17 years, living with the same people for 17 years, most likely going to the same school and seeing the same people for 17 years. It's a very confusing time for them, so what do you expect? Now, this film is very non-apologetic in its real take on the life of a young teenage girl. And even though it's viewed through the lens of a teenage girl, it's still very relatable for myself, because I used to be a teenager too. Not exactly relatable, but yeah, there's similarities in there. They don't Hollywood her life up, I guess is what I'm saying. And I like that because one of the things I love about this movie, the high school parties actually look like high school parties. They're not these big elaborate things with like a DJ and like 20 kegs and pools everywhere, fireworks going off. At least I never had that when I was growing up. This movie is very much a slice of life, which is why I think it makes it stand out against all the other coming-of-age movies, at least in the past decade. It's not just about trying to have sex for the very first time, which is what a lot of those teenage angst and coming-of-age movies try to do. And yes, of course, this movie does have that, but this movie also deals with social anxiety and acceptance and trying to find your place in the world and trying to make sense of it, which adults would probably say, oh, you're too young to think like that, but that's what teenagers do. It is a very stressful time. But really the best way to get through it is to realize that everyone else's life, no matter how perfect they portray themselves on the outside, they're just as fucked up as you are. And there really is no making sense of the world because a lot of times this world makes no sense to anyone. Haley Steinfeld is absolutely fantastic in this movie, which is perfect because this movie is basically 99% her. We see this whole movie through her eyes. She's almost in every single scene. I remember the first time I saw Haley Steinfeld, it was in the 2011 remake of True Grit, and in there, I thought she outacted everyone. And you had names in there like Josh Brolin, Matt Damon, and Jeff Bridges, for God's sake. She is a tremendous actress, and she has a very bright future ahead of her. What? No, she's doing the next Transformers movie. No. Haley Lou Richardson is great in this movie. You know, it took me a while to realize where I have seen her before, and then it hit me. She was in Split, which I saw earlier that year, which, good for her. I noticed that she's always smiling. Like, all the time. Which is fine, because she has a great smile, but even in the upset scenes, she was still smiling. I don't know. Kind of irritating. But by far my favorite part in this movie is Woody Harrelson. Probably because I'm a teacher myself, so I can easily relate to how he's feeling in this movie. Which, by the way, I'm stealing every line that he uses here. Probably the standout line was when Nadine came up to him and said, "Hey, I didn't do my homework last night. I'm dealing with a family tragedy." And Harrelson's character looks at her and goes, "Oh, okay. When did the family member die?" She goes, "Well, 5 years ago." And he says, "Oh, okay. Well, I have a 1-year expiration date on all family tragedies, so..." I'm sorry. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. But it's probably also because I'm heartless, too. I don't know, being a teacher myself, you hear a lot of wild reasons as to why papers are not being turned in on time, or why they're not there for presentations. And he kind of says the things I want to say. Unfortunately, in the real world, if he did say things like this, he would probably be fired in an instant. Teachers today really have to be walking on eggshells, which is very sad in my opinion. But thank you very much, Woody Harrelson, for saying the things that probably a lot of teachers are thinking. This is probably going to be very awkward if any of my students are watching this channel. Do your work. But I love how the director writes his character. She doesn't give him the Hollywoodistic teacher speeches that you see a lot in these coming-of-age movies. Which is great because I believe that's not what teachers should be expected to do. I believe teachers are there to help students on their path to self-discovery. Teachers shouldn't have to spoon-feed everything to students, especially teenagers. Because I believe the most rewarding thing about growing up is making your own discoveries and making your own decisions. The most rewarding thing about growing up is developing and discovering your own personal persona based on your own hopes and dreams, and not because someone told you to think some way or told you to do something. Which I think is what Nadine is hoping to get from Woody Harrelson's character, but he never spoon feeds it to her. He lets her discover it for herself. So bravo, director! Well done! So in the end, The Edge of 17 is a wonderful coming-of-age movie, and it's probably the best one to come out in at least the past decade. The actors are great and the script is magnificent, and it's a great look in the life of a teenage girl. It's very rare for me to want to rewatch a movie as soon as I'm done watching it. I haven't felt like that in a very long time. So, you know what? I'm giving this movie 5 out of 5 Blu-rays. All right, let's get I haven't outwardly laughed this much because of a movie in a very long time. So yeah, it absolutely deserves that score, and if I was making a top 10 list of the movies of 2016, this one would definitely be on there. Probably in the top 5 at least. Alright everyone, so now comes my favorite part in my videos where I randomly select which movie I'm watching next. Let's take a look. Spy! I can't remember when this one came out. This is actually one that I own and I have not seen yet. I remember picking this movie up, I think it was on Black Friday, which is the best day to go out and purchase new DVDs and Blu-rays. Everything is so cheap. I know Melissa McCarthy is in it, Jason Statham. I heard that this was a really good movie, so yeah. I'm excited to give it a watch. So have you seen The Edge of 17? What did you think about it? Or, if you've never seen it before, but you stumbled across it because of this video, please comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And when you're done commenting, please like and subscribe to my channel so you know the next time I'm posting my next movie review. So everyone, I will see you next time with my review of Spy. In the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.